Nobody tells you this about getting wealthier. Your life doesn't get bigger. It gets quieter, cleaner, smaller. You thought more money meant more space, more stuff, more of everything you couldn't afford before. That's what it looks like from the outside. That's what you assumed. But somewhere between 23 and 43, something unexpected happens. If you're paying attention, right now there's a 23-year-old standing in a kitchen with 4 unopened boxes on the counter. He ordered them last week. He doesn't remember what's in 2 of them. There's a gym membership charging $49 a month he hasn't used since January. 17 shirts in the closet. He wears 3. Sitting on the counter right next to all the noise is a cracked mug from Target. $3.47. He bought it his first week living alone. It's the only thing in that kitchen he actually uses every single day. He doesn't know it yet, but 20 years from now, that mug might still be there. Long after almost everything else is gone. Not because he couldn't afford better, because he finally stopped needing to prove anything. This is what wealth actually does to a life. Not the version they sell you. The version that happens slowly, in the decisions nobody sees and the things you stop buying before you even realize why. The richest version of you might own almost nothing. This is that story. You make $41,000 a year. After taxes, about $2,800 a month hits your checking account. Sounds like enough. It isn't. Rent is $890, utilities, internet, renter's insurance, another $140. Car payment is $287. Insurance on top is $112. You haven't done the full math yet. You keep meaning to. You don't, because somewhere in the back of your head, you already know the answer. And the answer is uncomfortable. So you don't look. You eat out 4 times a week because cooking for one in a kitchen that small feels more depressing than a $12 burrito bowl. You tell yourself you'll meal prep Sunday. You buy groceries Saturday. They sit until Thursday, when you throw out what went bad, feel vaguely guilty, and order delivery anyway. This happens most weeks. You don't think of it as a pattern. It's just Tuesday. The boxes on the counter are from 3 separate orders placed on 3 separate evenings when you were tired and bored, and the algorithm knew exactly what to show you. One is a cable organizer. Your cables are still a mess. One is a book about habits. You've read 11 pages. One you genuinely cannot remember ordering. You opened it, looked at it, put it on the shelf. Here's what nobody explains at 23. The system isn't selling you products. It's selling you the feeling that things are about to get better. That this purchase, this specific one, right now, is the thing that tips the scale. The cable organizer will fix the desk. The desk will fix the focus. The focus will fix everything else. It doesn't work that way. But the feeling is real enough to keep spending. Buy now, pay later breaks $120 into 4 payments of $30. $30 doesn't feel like a decision. So you make it. Then you make it again. Then you open your banking app on a Thursday night before payday, and the number is $408. And something in your chest gets tight. You close the app, you open Instagram, someone from high school is posting from a rooftop bar. Nice apartment in the background. Good lighting. You look at the photo longer than you mean to. You put the phone down. Pick it up again 30 seconds later. This isn't weakness. This isn't stupidity. This is what the system is designed to produce. Built by people with a lot more data about you than you have about yourself. You've heard the word minimalism. You follow a few accounts, white walls, 1 plant, a ceramic bowl with 3 things in it. It looks peaceful. You want that. You just don't know yet that what you want isn't the aesthetic, it's the feeling underneath it, the feeling of not owing anything to anything. But right now at 23, minimalism isn't a philosophy. It's just a word you use when the card declines. The mug on the counter has a hairline crack at the handle, $3.47 from Target. You bought it the week you moved in, used it every single morning since. It is the least expensive thing you own. It is the most useful thing you own. You don't see that yet. The first rule. At 23, you're not spending money to live. You're spending money to feel like you're living. The distance between those 2 things is where everything gets lost. You got a raise, not life-changing, a real one. 11,000 more a year. After taxes, about $600 extra a month. You moved into a one-bedroom, your own space, nobody else's dishes in the sink. Rent is $1,100. You can cover it. Not comfortably, but you can cover it. That distinction matters more than people give it credit for. There's a couch now, a real one. Not the IKEA floor model you assembled wrong twice. You bought it on 18 months, same as cash, without reading the fine print. The interest rate, if you don't pay it off in time, is 26.99% APR. You'll probably pay it off in time. Probably. Some weeks are still bad. The kind where something breaks. The car, the laptop, a filling, and the number in your account drops fast enough that you feel it in your shoulders before you even open the app. You don't have an emergency fund. You have a credit card with a $2,000 limit that you tell yourself is the same thing. It isn't. One Tuesday in October, the balance is $263. Rent comes out in 4 days. You do the math 3 times, hoping the answer changes. It doesn't. You transfer $200 from a savings account you've been building since March. The savings account now has $40 in it. You don't tell anyone. You go to work, you act normal. You eat the lunch you packed because the $12 burrito bowl isn't an option this week. This is what 26 actually feels like a lot of the time. Not dramatic. Just a number on a screen that makes everything slightly harder to breathe around until payday hits and the cycle resets. But something small is shifting. You deleted 2 shopping apps. Not as a statement. Just because every time you accidentally open them, you spent money you didn't plan to spend. Removing the app removed the accident. You started a Roth IRA. $200 a month. Automated. Comes out the day after payday. After 12 months, the balance is $2,540. You check it differently than you check your regular account. Your regular account you check with dread. The Roth you check with something quieter. You still buy things you don't need. A jacket on sale you wore twice. Some nights you still add things to the cart just to feel something moving forward. You know this about yourself now. You don't always stop it, but you notice it faster. Sometimes before you buy. Sometimes right after. Occasionally you catch yourself hovering over the confirm button and you close the app. Those moments don't feel like discipline. They feel like waking up for a second. One Sunday the apartment goes quiet and you reorganize the closet without planning to. Everything comes out. 4 bags go by the door for Goodwill. You sit on the floor of the empty closet for a minute. It's just a closet, but it breathes differently now. The second rule. Convenience and luxury are not the same thing. One buys you status. The other buys you back something you didn't realize you were losing. Learning the difference earlier than most people is worth more than any raise. You did something this year that felt almost embarrassingly small. You canceled a subscription. Not a big one, $14.99 a month, a streaming service you'd been paying for since college, because canceling felt like admitting something, like you were cutting back, like things were tight. You could afford $14.99. That was never the point. The point was, you hadn't opened the app in 4 months. You were paying for a door you never opened, so you closed it. Took 40 seconds. You did it again the next month. A fitness app, $8.99, gone. A news app you read twice, gone. Cloud storage for photos you never looked at, gone. $47 a month, just gone. Not because you needed the $47. The realization underneath it stayed with you. You were paying for things on autopilot, not things you chose, things you forgot you had. You started looking at everything that way. Not obsessively, just clearly. You went through the closet again, this time with a different question. Not, do I want to keep this? You'd asked that before and kept too much. The new question was, if I saw this in a store today, would I buy it? 11 shirts. No. 2 pairs of shoes. No. A jacket you bought because it was on sale, and sale had felt like a reason. No. 3 bags to Goodwill on a Saturday morning. You stood in the parking lot after and felt something you didn't expect. Not proud. Not lighter, exactly. Just accurate. Like the outside of your life got a little more honest about the inside of it. Your salary went to $81,000 this year. The raise felt good for about a week. Then it settled into the background the way raises always do. But this time you didn't upgrade anything. You took the difference, about $1,400 a month after taxes, and split it. $800 into the brokerage, $400 into the Roth, $200 into a savings account you labeled options. Not for anything specific, just because having options felt more important than having things. Here's what nobody prepares you for at 29. You start seeing your attention differently, not your money, your attention. That extra chair from 26 became a place to throw clothes. The second monitor turned into 20 extra browser tabs. The storage boxes under the bed became things you had to move every time you cleaned and never actually opened. Every object makes a small claim. The claims add up. You felt this on a Tuesday morning when you got dressed in 4 minutes because you only had 7 things to choose from. You walked out without thinking about what you were wearing. Your head was clear in a way it hadn't been in a while. Nothing dramatic happened that Tuesday. You just had a little more of yourself available for it. One more thing. You weren't perfect. You still had weeks where stress turned into takeout and an Amazon package you didn't need. You bought a standing desk in February because 3 different podcasts said it would change your life. It didn't. 6 weeks later, it's just a regular desk that's harder to move. But you returned to the pattern faster than before. That was the real change. Not that you stopped slipping. That the slips got shorter. The third rule. Every object you own owns a small piece of your attention. Owning less isn't about deprivation. It's about getting that attention back and deciding what's actually worth spending it on. You didn't move. Your colleagues assumed you would. New title, better salary, the kind of raise that usually triggers an apartment search somewhere with exposed brick and a rooftop. You didn't move. Same apartment. $1,200 a month. Your colleague Cole just signed a lease 2 miles away. $2,040. Same city, same commute. Different math. The $840 difference runs into your brokerage every month. Has for 2 years. You've never mentioned this to Cole. Cole has never asked. The portfolio is at $112,000. You check it Sunday evenings. Not with anxiety. Something closer to quiet satisfaction. The way you'd check on a plant you've been watering for years and stopped worrying about. No hot stock picks, no crypto bet, just a total market index fund, 0.03% expense ratio. And the decision to leave it alone when every instinct said to do something. Doing nothing is harder than it sounds. The market dropped 19% over 6 months in year 2. Your portfolio lost $22,000 on paper. You watched the number fall, the way you might watch rain hit a window. Present, aware, not moving. You bought more that month. The account recovered 8 months later. Nobody congratulated you. There was no moment. Just a Sunday evening when the number was different and you looked at it for a few seconds and made dinner. Something shifted in how you see the things around you. A manager at your company drove a 7-year-old Camry, mid-50s, had sold a business a decade earlier. He drove it because, as he said once over lunch, not a speech, just a sentence, I don't need the car to tell people anything about me anymore. It landed somewhere specific and stayed. What you were starting to understand was that people worth paying attention to weren't spending money to acquire things. They were spending money to remove friction. Friction is everything that costs you time or mental space without giving anything real back. A long commute, a cluttered apartment, a dinner you said yes to out of habit when you knew before you said it that you didn't want to go. You paid for grocery delivery on heavy weeks. You paid $83 more for a direct flight home at Thanksgiving and arrived with a full afternoon instead of a frantic evening. Not, can I afford this? But what am I actually buying? Your friend Derek called one afternoon, financed a new car. $44,000, 72-month loan, 6.9% APR. Excited. Wanted to know what you thought. You said, it looks great. You didn't say that $44,000 at 6.9 over 72 months means he'd actually pay $53,600 total. You didn't say that $53,000 in an index fund for 10 years becomes $137,000 at historical averages. You didn't say any of it. Because the math wasn't what he was asking about. He was asking if you were happy for him. You were. You're still not perfect. There was a week in March when work was bad and you bought 2 things online you didn't need. They sat in the corner of the bedroom for a month before you donated them. You still compare sometimes. A college friend bought a house in a neighborhood you'd looked at. You felt something when you saw the photos. Not quite envy. Something adjacent to it. You sat with that feeling for a day and let it go. That's the difference between now and 23. Not that the feeling doesn't come, that it doesn't stay as long. The fourth rule: at some point people stop spending money to feel important. They spend money to remove friction. Learning that difference before you have the money to act on it is the advantage most people never build. You bought a house, not because you'd always dreamed of owning one, because the numbers made more sense than renting, and for the first time in your adult life, the decision was actually yours to make. 3 bedrooms, a street with trees. Mortgage is $1,640 a month, less than rent on something comparable. 2 of the bedrooms are mostly empty. You didn't fill them. Your mother asked when you were getting a proper dining table. Your friend Nate walked through after 4 months and said it felt like you just moved in. You didn't explain it well at the time. Empty space isn't absence. It's capacity. A room with nothing in it is a room that hasn't made any demands on you yet. You kept asking the same question you've been asking since 29. Do I actually need this? Or am I buying it because that's what people do when they get a house? Most of the time the answer was the second one. The kitchen has what you use. 1 good pan, 1 good knife. The mug from Target, cracked handle, still on the counter. You've been offered nicer mugs, housewarming gifts, mostly. They're in the cabinet. You still use the cracked one. Your net worth crossed $500,000 on a Tuesday morning during a work call. Someone was sharing their screen. You checked the account. $512,000. You looked at it for maybe 4 seconds. Then you went back to the call. This is the thing about reaching a number you once thought would feel enormous. It doesn't feel enormous. It feels like a Tuesday. It represents years of quiet decisions in apartments nobody visited, Sunday evenings nobody documented, months when the market dropped and you bought more anyway. It just doesn't announce itself the way you thought it would. You started paying for things you used to feel guilty paying for. A cleaner every 2 weeks. $90. You spent 3 months telling yourself you could do it yourself. You could, but you weren't. The low-level guilt of a bathroom that needed attention was costing you something every time you walked past it. $90 made that disappear. Direct flights every time. A CPA for $420 because every April you wasted 12 hours anxious over tax software. The 12 hours cost more than $420. You were buying back time. Specifically, trackably. At a certain point, the highest yield investment isn't a stock, it's your own capacity, your energy, your ability to show up for the things that actually matter without the background noise of a life that's too full. You still had bad weeks. Stress meant takeout every night and a package arriving that you ordered at 11:30 on a Wednesday and regretted by Friday. The difference was you stopped letting one bad week become a bad month. A Saturday morning in October. No plans until noon. Coffee in the cracked mug, both hands around it, by the window. You don't open your phone for 40 minutes. A neighbor walks a dog. A car passes. The light moves across the floor. You feel something you'd been chasing since 23. Not excitement, something quieter. You feel like you're exactly where you're supposed to be. The fifth rule. At some point, the most expensive thing in your life isn't what you own. It's what you're carrying that you never chose to pick up. Wealth doesn't give you more. It gives you the option to finally put some of it down. You painted the walls white, not off-white, not eggshell. White. Took you 3 weeks to decide. Not because the color was complicated, because you kept second-guessing whether it was too stark, too much like you were trying to make a statement. You weren't making a statement. You just wanted the room to feel like morning. So you painted it white, and that was the end of the decision. This is what changes at this level that nobody warns you about. Not the number. The relationship with your own judgment. For 20 years you made decisions through a filter of what other people would think. The apartment, is it impressive enough? The car, does it signal the right things? Every choice carried a small audience in your head whose approval you were quietly optimizing for. At 43, the audience is mostly gone. It comes back sometimes at reunions, when someone asks what you drive, and you say the name of a 7-year-old sedan and watch their face do the math. But mostly, it's gone. The portfolio covers most of your annual expenses passively. You still work. But the reason changed. You work because the problems interest you. You don't work because you have to. That sentence is shorter than it looks. You said no to 3 things this year you would have said yes to at 33. A board seat. 12 days of meetings you'd have dreaded from the moment they were scheduled. A consulting engagement. Easy money, slow misery. A dinner you agreed to on a guilty Tuesday and spent 6 weeks wishing you could undo. No, 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 not from arrogance. From accuracy. Some mornings the noise still comes back. You catch yourself looking at a neighbor's renovation, a colleague's promotion, feeling something stir. You haven't outgrown it. You've just gotten faster at recognizing it for what it is. Comparison isn't a character flaw, it's a reflex. The question is whether you let it drive. A younger colleague, 26, sharp, asked over coffee how you'd thought about money in your 20s and 30s. Not a stock tip, how you thought about it. You said, I stopped buying things to feel like I was moving forward, and I started building things that moved without me. He wrote it down. You watched him and felt something, not pride, recognition. Seeing someone at the beginning of a road you've already walked, asking the right question at the right time. You hoped he'd do the harder thing, not the index funds, not the automated transfers. Those are mechanics. The willingness to want less than the system is constantly telling you to want. The patience to let life get quieter as it gets better. Those things can't be automated. They have to be chosen in moments that feel small at the time. Your net worth is 1.2 million. Known to 3 people. Your accountant, your financial advisor, you. The number stopped feeling like the point a long time ago. What feels like the point is the Wednesday morning when you wake up without an alarm and the first thought isn't what you have to do. It's what you want to do. And what you want to do is make coffee. The cracked mug is on the counter. $3.47. 20 years old. Still works fine. You fill it. You sit by the window. The room is white and quiet. Light coming in from the east. Nothing on the counter except the mug. No boxes waiting to be opened. No subscriptions running for things you forgot you had. No audience running commentary on whether this looks like success. Just the coffee. Just the light. Just the window. You didn't arrive here by becoming someone different. You arrived here by slowly removing everything that was never really you. The 6th rule. The final stage of wealth isn't having more. It's finally being honest about how little you actually need and discovering that the life you were chasing was always smaller, quieter, and closer than you thought. Somewhere right now a 23-year-old is standing in that kitchen. 4 unopened boxes on the counter. A gym membership he hasn't used since January. 17 shirts, he wears 3, and the cracked mug from Target sitting right there in the middle of all of it. $3.47. He uses it every single morning. He thinks this is a story about money, about making more of it, about what happens when you finally have enough. It isn't. It's a story about what you stop needing when you start paying attention. He doesn't know that yet. Some mornings the noise is so loud it's all he can hear. Most mornings actually. But one day, not dramatically, not all at once, it gets a little quieter. And then a little quieter than that. And eventually he'll sit by a window in a room with almost nothing in it, holding a mug he's had for 20 years, and realize the life he was building toward was never the one that looked impressive from the outside. It was the one that finally felt like enough on the inside. He doesn't know that yet. But he will.